Are you still living in New Jersey?
There was no countdown, so we're live.
Nice.
There
Okay.
is no countdown. I'm asking Stephen where he lives. And hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to some of you. This is Jaime Rivera from Pocketnow. We've got our own Michael Fisher, who is down in New York City with lovely LG tones. And what else do you have there, Michael?
I have LG Tones, an LG G Flex, and a New York City sidewalk. And I gotta tell you, I made fun of the Tones when I unboxed them from the swag bag, but they are saving my butt right now because there is no quiet place. I couldn't hear you guys were doing the speaker. These are my new favorite product today. Also, my only LG product I will be showcasing on the air, as we don't have a G3 review device yet. C'est la vie, as the French say. Keep introducing people.
Anyway.
So they're saving you, but also making you, or sacrificing your dignity.
Don't want to talk about it. Yeah.
Seriously. Anyways, Mr. Taylor Martin, senior editor, how are you?
I'm good. I've got a little bit of a cough, and my head's a little stopped up, but whatever. I'm here.
You always do. Anyways. Yeah. Stephen, where are you at, man?
Still in Jersey, man. Loving this hot, swampy weather.
Lovely, lovely. Welcome to our editorial roundtable, where we're going to be talking about the LG G3 and first impressions. But obviously, the only person that's actually held the device right now is Mr. Michael Fisher. So, without further ado, even though Brandon hates that we say that, what do you think about this phone, Michael?
The G3, I came to this event with moderate expectations. I knew that I was going to love some components. I knew that I was going to find others distasteful. But I have to say, on the whole, I'm very impressed. LG did a very good job with the presentation itself. It was a little long and a little dense, but they didn't patronize us. There were the Vienna Schoolboys choir was not here. There was none of any of that. They focused entirely on the device, and while they had a few too many bullet points for my liking, once you get to pick up the thing, I think it's the best thing LG has ever produced. I think it's the best smartphone LG has ever made. Which seems like an unsurprising thing to say until you remember how passionately I felt about the G Flex. I like the G. I think the G3 is a real contender for one of the best phones of the year, from what I've seen today.
Now tell me something, because you've been using the G Flex for the longest time. Are you disappointed that LG didn't bring the G Flex technology into the G3?
What the specifically the curve technology?
Or either the self-healing.
Or the self-healing technology.
Yeah.
I am not. I just realized I'm sitting next to a door, so if somebody comes in, it's going to be entertaining. No, I am not disappointed that it's not curved. I mean, I am a little bit, but I know the technology is not there yet. Taylor knows this. The screen on the G Flex is terrible, even though it is curved.
It's horrible. It is terrible.
Really
there's horrible image retention.
Yeah, it has a really bad burn-in problem. And I'm really glad that LG instead chose to focus on a really gorgeous 4K display or
2K
display.
How does it look? I mean, everyone's talking about how you're not going to be able to notice a difference. It's not worth it. You've seen this thing. How does it? What are your impressions?
LG took a great care to put graphics on that thing that would make you realize how great it is. Textured items with tiny, tiny little details that come through beautifully. It is a gorgeous screen. I took a few close-ups of the display on the hands-on video you'll see in a while. It is stunning. There's no
Star-spangled wallpapers by chance?
No, didn't get any of that. Didn't get any camo fatigue wallpapers or anything.
Well, and just to give everybody an idea, we're talking about a 5.5-inch Quad HD display, which is 2K. We're talking about 538 pixels per inch on this display.
2560 by 1440.
Which is it's pretty much the iPads, the Retina display on the iPad's display, only on a 5.5-inch screen.
Yeah,
right.
It's pretty impressive. It's the exact resolution, if I'm not mistaken, that the Find 7 was announced with, but obviously LG has beat Oppo to the punch here. This is the first Quad HD phone, right?
I believe so. I think this is an official list of addition to the list of LG's first. But Stephen, you know better than I, being plugged in the news cycle. What's your word on that?
Had some come out in Asia late last year. I want to say Vizio had one. Or not. This is the first we've seen from a major OEM that, most importantly, is going to be available in the West. So whether or not it's first, it's a huge milestone.
Right. And you picked the thing up. Fortunately, on the plus side, this event was very, very well run, and there were plenty of devices to go around. And you pick the thing up once you get it off the tether, and wow. I mean, I say this increasingly because people are getting better at making hardware, but it's the perfect weight. I don't remember what the mass is. Maybe one of you guys has the spec.
149 grams.
Yeah.
149 grams. It is not metal, but it looks terrific. It's got a matte finish on it, not a glossy finish, and so it doesn't feel cheap in the hand. It doesn't feel slimy, and it's not unnecessarily reflective, which is nice.
Can I ask you a question?
Please, yeah.
Does it have the perfect curvature on the back?
The perfect curvature. Oh, they did spend some time talking about that online,
Yeah, they
didn't
did.
they?
Yeah.
There's all kinds of science that went into determining that curvature. The curvature is good. It's not. I mean, it's fine. It feels good in the hand, as we like to say. But I really mean that. But I think it's less obvious thanks to the curvature. More of that good feeling in the hand is kind of regarding this device, which has an edge-to-edge screen, essentially. And the screen just dominates so much of the forward side. Yet, even when you flip it over, it doesn't look like a behemoth like the G Flex looked. Really, it is sweet.
Now, Michael, I have a question about specs, because we finally got confirmation that there will be a 2 GB and 3 GB RAM option for this. I didn't pick up on many of the details about where or who's going to get what. Did you hear anything more about that?
All I heard was that you could make a selection. If you chose the 16 gig version, that would give you 2 gigs, and 32 gigs would give you 3 gigs of RAM.
So they are locked to the storage options.
That is what I saw here. Honestly, I didn't exert a lot of effort to confirm that. I was busy being fancy with the camera and such.
I'm sure we'll hear more details as these things, carriers tell us more. And then things
Now, going back to the display, Michael, probably the biggest concern is how optimized is Android for this new resolution, because everything right now is 1080p. If you want to download an application, it's 1080p. So did you see any pixelation?
Since, what, a year and a half ago?
Yes, but that's for tablet optimized applications, and Android will actually give you the smartphone variant of the app when you want to download it on a smartphone. So were you able to test anything that wasn't LG software on your demo unit?
I was most interested in seeing the LG titles actually because the company had spent such a long time discussing how it had optimized its visual aesthetic and flattened it out and made it and unified it and such. So no, I don't think I ducked into too many stock Android titles, but it would shock me. I mean, I would be stunned if LG went to market with a display that would create jagged stuff. Now, what about the Nexus 10 there, Taylor?
This isn't the first time we've seen a super high resolution display for Android. It's the first smartphone. So the graphics are there. That's my point. Because we've seen the Note and Tab Pro 12.2, the Note 10.1, the Tab Pro 10.1, the Tab Pro 8.4, and all that. So the resolution has been there before. It's just not been in a smartphone. So I don't think that the graphics part is a problem. But if I'm not mistaken, Marquez in his video said that a lot of the games are playing in 1080p instead of Quad HD, which would make sense anyway.
Now, a lot of
it makes sense, because games have historically been the more difficult thing to change the scaling on.
Exactly. Now, our Q&A is enabled for those of you that have joined us. Thank you very much. This is our LG G3 Editorial Roundtable where we're discussing everything that Michael was able to see at the event. And probably, I have like 3 or 4 questions here on the Q&A that are asking about the speaker. Because we do know that there were terrible speakers on the G2. And, Michael, I know that it's literally impossible for you to check that out at an event, but were you able to?
I can tell you one thing about the speaker. It's blue. They made it out of a blue metal, or it's shiny metal, and they stuck a blue sticker over it. That's all I know. There's no way to check. I mean, honestly, it's so loud every time there's an exhibition. There is no way to determine. Everything sounds like a tinny mess. So as soon as we get a proper demo device, I will check that out. I know that it has a 1-watt amplifier, but that didn't strike me as a standout spec because I know I've heard that before. Other devices have such an amplifier.
Also, Michael Fisher, step up your game because I want to know how the speaker is while everything else is playing like loud music and 30 people around you are shooting hands-on videos and all of that. So step up your game.
Yeah, I will try harder next time. I promise. Now, it is a bit of a shame that it's rear firing. I don't mean to interrupt you. I mean, and I think there's going to be a lot of effusive praise around this phone. And I think it's important to maintain some perspective. It is a little frustrating on a device like this to have a rear-firing speaker still. I mean, we dealt with it on the Moto X just fine because it was loud and because the device was curved enough to make that speaker work if you were lying it down on its back. So we'll test it out, but I can't say that I'm not a little let down considering the chin that the LG has below the display there. It seems like a speaker.
It's such a tiny chin, isn't it?
It is.
It is, but it looks great, I think. I really think that it's not as bad as we were worrying it might be.
I guess probably one of the biggest takeaways that I have from the spec sheet that we got on the press release and everything, and from what you've told us is it's like if LG pretty much listened to every single one of the comments and all the feedback that we gave to the G2. We hated that it didn't have expandable storage. We have it now, up to 128 gigs. We hated that we didn't have a replaceable battery on the U.S. variants because the Korean variants did have it. So now we have that. I guess the only thing that was left is the tacky software. How is that, Michael?
Yeah, I know, Michael, we were talking about this on the weekly a couple of times, where I know you weren't looking forward to it based on the leaks we have seen. Have your impressions changed now that you've had a chance to interact with it?
Not much, not from an aesthetic standpoint. From the perspective of utility, I think they have some interesting stuff happening. There's that sort of Google Now aping thing. What's it called? Smart Actions or something like Smart Alerts. I think. And that I think they might be able to do something with that if they're able to if they stay on top of it. Right now, it just seems to be a lot of duplicated Google Now type features that look better in Google Now, and pretty much everything looks better in the Google aesthetic. Yes, LG has flattened some stuff. But the colors that they were saying, they didn't want to go pastel, they didn't want to go vibrant, primary colors because they consider that childish. I thought that was an interesting avenue to take. Not a lot of manufacturers are going that direction and trying to appeal to the professional, Saul, the necktie wearer.
Somebody's got to be the new BlackBerry.
Yeah, well, right. So that was kind of an interesting choice there. I don't think those colors look particularly good. And they were saying they built everything around the circle. And in the demo videos that they showed, certainly that mock-up UI that doesn't exist and will never exist, that would look pretty cool. The actual UI, it looks like an LG UI that's been flattened and given a gross color palette.
Me too.
I think I'm gonna like it.
Me too.
Speaking of the circles there, did you get a chance to play with the quick circle cover at all?
Yeah. That thing... It's the coolest case ever. I took probably about 7 minutes straight of vanity footage with that quick circle case before I realized I should probably do something else. I couldn't stop playing with it. I think it's going to be my favorite accessory for the phone, maybe including the G Watch, even though we haven't seen that yet. It's a beautiful case, and I can't wait to show it to you.
One of the questions from the Q&A is this phone water resistant?
Yeah, not that they said. I mean, it might be one of those secret things where you can throw it in the sink for an hour and it'll be fine, but I wouldn't try it with mine. I don't think that's their focus here.
Next time you have to bring a super soaker along with you to the hands-on just to find out.
What's wrong with you?
I know. I'm just unprepared at every turn, aren't I? Oh, well.
I guess that's probably my only disappointment. Listen, if the software is tacky, and I said that in my review rebuttal of the LG G2, it's like, fine. It's not fair to give this phone points over being able to add Nova Launcher because it's LG's responsibility to make the UI compelling or stick to stock Android. It could have been a choice for them, and they still do their own thing. So still, if you don't like the software, you do have that option. But I guess my only disappointment today is that everything this year is water resistant, isn't it?
Well, but the One M8 is not declared to be. They're not. They won't support you if you screw it up. Like Samsung will go to a certain degree to, you have a case if you bust up your Galaxy S5 in the water. It's like, this thing's supposed to be water resistant. You can probably get that replaced with a little bit of a fight. HTC is like, if you screw it up with water, they're like, we never told you that it was water resistant. Like, what, are you going to, what's his name? The guy's name that did the sync video?
Keaton?
What are you gonna send your warranty claim to Keaton? No. So I'm not too disappointed in that. Although Jaime, I agree with you. I always like it when a phone is water resistant. I always found that useful. I do want to mention before we get off software entirely that the keyboard is cool as hell. Being able to dynamically resize your keyboard to within a 40% range is very useful, and I'm surprised they're the first ones to do this.
Yeah, I saw that. It seems so
They're not.
obvious. Yes, someone has to be doing it. You say they are, Taylor?
I mean, the first OEM to do it with a skin, too.
Yeah, Swift's done it for a long time. Swipe added it maybe a year or two ago, and Minuum does it. So, and thumb keyboard. A lot of third-party keyboards do that.
But though the ability to install a third-party keyboard has gotten easier and easier over time, I feel constrained to point out, I just spent the weekend with my family. More than one of my family members had to install a custom emoji keyboard for them because they couldn't figure out the process. And I'm not related to dummies, you understand. I'm just related to normal people, and no one knows how to do this. So they're going to use the keyboard that comes with the OEM skin, most people. And when you can improve that, I think it's compelling because I get so freaking frustrated with OEM skins that are bad, and they're all bad, and keyboards. And this one might be just as bad, but it really looks like they've gone to some effort to fix it up.
What about those, like the text editing features that they added, where you can long press on the space bar and move your cursor around?
This is one of those things that I've wanted fixed for so long. Like, you know, with HTC back in the Evo days, they had those 4 directional keys that were big and honking and ugly, but they at least let you manipulate the cursor without reaching up and moving. It's cool. Long pressing on the space bar and then sliding around to control the cursor. It's a no-brainer thing. Once again, something someone should have thought of already, and good for LG for implementing it. The keyboard is so exciting to me.
Now, the question I have on top of that, though, is can you break from this way that you've been trained to edit text on a mobile keyboard to actually use that? Because there are so many compelling features that manufacturers put in their phones that you never actually end up using in the real world. You use them to learn them, and then you totally forget about them. That's what always happens to me.
No, that's a good point. Like WebOS had the gesture area was used for text navigation, and like no one knew that it was there, so no one used it. That's a good point. I think, and this might address an issue that we're going to talk about. I think LG is going to be really good at messaging some of those features this year. Because did you guys see the commercials in the live stream? They look damn good.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch them.
Oh man, I mean they're just quick from the like I think 10-second spots to the 30-second ones. It's like, you know, how do you take a picture with LG G3? Just snap. That's it. And
speaking of,
in some space, but they're good ads. They're snappy. They're nice. Yeah.
Speaking of, I selected a question in our Q&A. Did you use the camera laser, the laser autofocus?
Yeah, I did. But you have to understand, I was in a dimly lit room because they're all dimly lit. This room was all white, and it had floor-to-ceiling windows, but they still found a way to make it dim. So I could not find a way to evaluate its focus time based on a comparison with another device. But it certainly seemed to be quick, and you can touch to focus and capture in one gesture, which is something we've seen on Windows Phone for the longest time. But hey, you know, welcome to Android. No, and Moto X does it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not a new thing. They were calling it like a new thing. It's not a new thing, but it is very fast. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the Google Camera app is that way too.
Got.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, like everything is like that. We're sitting there like, well, this isn't new. Just like the BlackBerry swipe up to substitute thing. Yeah.
And for everybody that wrote, I've got like 2 questions on the Q&A saying if the QHD display is deal breaker. Guys, Quad HD, not QHD. Those are very different things. We are talking about
uppercase or lowercase.
It's up. Well, yeah, it is uppercase. That is a good point, but still, it's a different thing. This is pretty much a 2K display, not exactly, but it almost is. And I don't know about you guys. Michael, you've handled pretty much every one of the latest and greatest smartphones of the year. If it was your pocket, would you buy the G3 in comparison to everything else that you've seen?
That is a tough call to make right now. I would still say, you know, for all of the aesthetic arguments LG was making in favor of the G3, I still think devices like the One M8 edge it out in terms of look and feel and fit and finish, just based on my 35 minutes with it upstairs. But it's gonna I'll have to answer that at the end of the full review. But just from a software perspective, it doesn't, guys. It looks okay.
Would a metal
body say that it looks good? What?
Metal body.
Does it wet your whistle?
Yes, indeed. It doesn't wheel my barrow, as it were. But is there anything else in the Q&A? Because I should get to editing this hands-on and such.
No, yeah, we're actually running out of time. Thank you for all of you to join us on our LG Editorial Roundtable. So far, I don't know, Taylor, how about you? What are your impressions of the G3 with everything you've seen? Would you buy it? I guess these are our closing thoughts for the roundtable before we all have to go.
Yeah, on paper, it is the best thing on the market. Period. Hands down. LG has put a ton of effort into this phone, and it shows. I'm still happy with my 1M8, and a lot of people are going to hate me for this, and I really don't care. I use boom sound every day, and those speakers, those front-firing speakers, to me, are very important. The only thing that would really pull me over to the G3 maybe is the camera, and so far I'm eating my shoe or my foot or whatever you want to say. I'm okay with the M8 camera. What is that? Is it eating your? I'm eating my words. Hat, shoe, foot. I'm eating all the things.
Eating my eyeballs. Yeah.
I'm eating my hands and legs and all those things because I was wrong. The M8 camera's not half. It's okay. It's fine. I'm okay.
I think it's funny because I think the M8 versus G3 comparison, which I introduced into this discussion, is less relevant. I think the real question in buyers' minds is going to be LG G3 or Galaxy S5, and in that instance, with the exception of the water resistance, from what I'm seeing right now, that G3 is just so stunning from a physical standpoint in terms of specs, and to a small degree in terms of software, that I think that will be a very hard decision for anybody stuck between these two devices. I might pick the G3 over the S5, though. I'm almost certain I would.
Wait till this Prime happens, though.
Yeah, in that comparison... Go ahead, Stephen.
I said wait till the S5 Prime happens, though, and we're comparing, the next gen XC, the 2K display.
The eternal wait for the Prime, yes, I know.
When the Prime turns out to be the Galaxy S6 next year.
We'll have to see. But
Galaxy S5 or G3? G3 all day. Hands down.
We're getting asked the question if there will be a Google Play edition of this phone. Did you hear anything, Michael?
They did not make any official declarations in the event, but Taylor, do you have some info on that?
Oh, I was just saying there was a rumor. As early as this morning, I think.
I would not be at all surprised if that were the case. We've seen it on, the two other major releases this year. We'll see it on this, I'm sure. And boy.
Can I just say that the face Steven is frozen on is amazing?
I'm frozen?
You're frozen in the face. Oh, not anymore. Not anymore, but it was amazing.
I hadn't given much thought to that because it's been such a busy morning, but, or afternoon. I think that would be really, really compelling. Google, stock Android running on this hardware would be something else.
It'd be like a Nexus 6.
It would be like a Nexus 6, pretty much.
It would be like a Nexus 6, wouldn't it?
Yeah, without the Nexus 6 price tag, though.
Without the Nexus 6 price tag.
$750 price tag.
But then again, I did notice, like, for example, on this LG UI that you did have multi-window, which we didn't have on the G2.
No, multi-window was added to the G2 with an update, wasn't it? Because the G Flex had it.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Yeah. And multi-window is, of course, a wonderful addition, and losing that would be a real hit in terms of multitasking, because we do love to do that. But I'm not sure. I've been using the G Flex today, but I haven't used it in a while. I'm not sure if they ever enabled more apps for that, because I think the catalog was pretty limited. So we'll have to check that out.
In the case, for example, of the Note 3, I'm using the Google Now launcher, and multi-window still works.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, because you just changed out the launcher. You're not running a custom ROM.
Exactly. I'm not running a custom ROM. So it works pretty much well. So that, it pretty much all you need to do is add, just use the Google Now launcher on that G3, and you'll still have those features. Hopefully, we'll see.
Maybe you've got.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Do you have a question? Did you dig into the settings at all?
Just to confirm the software version and something else. Why?
I was just going to ask if it had all those customization options that the G2 had, like font size, font type, theme color, and all those different things.
I didn't hang out in display, but I wouldn't be surprised if they knocked out a lot of those, because they really it was very much like the HTC approach with the new Sense, where they wanted each app hub to have its own color. They were they're tighter on the branding now. They're taking more responsibility for the software and its look and feel. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of those options went away, because I think they're putting more brain power toward how that looks.
And user experience. Steven, since Jaime's muted and he's trying to talk to us. Steven.
Sorry, guys. Any closing thoughts, Steven?
I mean, I really like what we saw here hardware-wise. It's not the best it could be, but like we said, I think LG listened to a lot of what people have been saying and made some really smart choices here. It's still going to be too expensive. I mean, we haven't heard pricing confirmed, but I'm a guy who looks to these Moto X, OnePlus One, Nexus type prices. If this thing's $500, $600, it's not for me, but I think it's going to appeal to a lot of people out there. The question now is if these ads that we've seen, these short, really compelling bits, are going to be enough to draw people away from, the elephant in the room, the Galaxy S5. I don't know if they can. LG's had kind of a shaky track record with its advertising, so I'm optimistic, but I think this is a huge step forward for LG in what its Android offerings can be, and it's got me really excited to see what it can do from here.
And I guess
I agree, Stephen. That's a good way to say it. Jaime, go ahead.
No, we're missing your closing thoughts, Michael, actually.
Most of mine were encapsulated in my thoughts of the G3 versus S5. I think that is going to be an interesting battle, but I want to reinforce this point. If LG really hits the market hard with these ads that they've crafted, I mean, are they the best ads I've ever seen? No, but they are better than the majority of the smartphone ads in the space right now. And if they can get a buzz around the G3, I think the G3, at first glance, deserves that buzz and can live up to it. So this is a very interesting device in that sense. I said something similar about the G Flex, but the G Flex never had a chance as the sort of prototype that it ended up being. Yeah. Maybe we'll see something different with the G Flex too, but the G3 is really interesting, and it's going to be a very hot battle between it and the S5 in particular. So stay tuned for it. And as soon as we can get a demo device, I promise we will have one. I'm sorry that we don't have one today, but we're working on it very hard, I assure you.
Can I ask you one final question before we jump off here, Michael?
Please.
How do you feel having been wearing LG tones around your neck and using them for the last 30 minutes?
I will say this. If you don't listen to the Pocketnow weekly podcast, you should, and you would get jokes like this. We made fun of these things, and I got to tell you, they've saved the day. I mean, I would not be where I am, sitting on a sidewalk under an eave next to a door that's probably going to open and kick my butt without the LG tones. So I heartily recommend them to you if you live the tech blogger lifestyle, which sees you brought to exciting environs.
Lovely, lovely. You could actually put those things on your head, like I have my glasses right now, and that'll make you look like really, no comment.
I'm not doing that.
No comment.
Yeah.
But anyways, we guys, I have run out of time, and I'm sure you guys have too, and I'm sure you want to get up from that sidewalk, Michael. So
I do.
My closing thoughts would be, there is only one reason why I use Galaxy phones, and it's because I am a storage freak. And in the previous years, Galaxy phones were the only ones that gave me expandable storage. I fell in love with the G2, and Michael knows that I did not want to review that phone. Michael knows that he pretty much had to beg me to send me that review rebuttal unit. And until I actually used that thing, I was like, my God, I can't return this phone. And it really had to do with the battery life. I fell in love with the battery life of that phone. And if the G3 is this non-compromised phone when it comes to battery life, and now I get expandable storage, and now I get the optical image stabilization on the camera with no excuses like what we get from HTC. I think this is my next phone, even if I have to pay for it.
It's my praise.
I'm sorry that I didn't mention the battery life, because it looks like they're doing some smart things to make the most of that 3,000 mAh cell. And if it's anything like this, G Flex that I've got, which by the way I've been using all day for everything. I even used it as a mobile hotspot to give to a fellow journalist who ran dry on his mobile card, and I was like, here, just use this. This G Flex does not care. It's going to go into next week, and it's going to be like, what? I'm at 80%. It's cool. LG really knows battery life, and that's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
It has a lowercase QHD display. That's not true, but I felt like it might as well be.
Anyway, to all our viewers, to all of you who participated in the Q&A, thank you very much. Obviously, we can't go through all the questions, because we are very limited in time for particular reasons. But thank you very much for watching. We have a lot of coverage coming up from the G3. I am really looking forward to it personally, Michael, because I do want to hear your final impressions of everything, comparing this phone to everything that's out there. I guess that's what I'm looking forward to the most. So
I cannot wait to begin generating them.
I know. So to all of you, Michael, Taylor, Stephen, thank you very much for being here. To all of you listening and watching, thank you very much, and we will see you on the next video. Obviously, we'll talk about this on the Pocketnow Daily and the Pocketnow Weekly podcast in the next coming days, so stay tuned.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.